I guess the word would be coaching carousel.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, these are the storylines we're going to pay attention to all of this week, and then the bye week going to the Super Bowl. We got 5 head coaching jobs that are open. There are 10 offensive coordinators jobs that are open. There are 5 defensive coordinator jobs that are available. We're waiting to see what transpires with Sean Payton. This is his appointment book. Sean Payton's about to play. Remember the old TV game Price is Right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what's going on with Sean Payton. He interviewed today, Monday, with the Carolina Panthers. We're led to believe that David Tepper, the flamboyant owner, will offer him anything he wants financially, including player personnel power. And Carolina evidently is willing to make the draft pick compensation available to New Orleans to get Sean Payton if Sean Payton wants to take the job. Payton interviewed in Carolina today. He's going to have his second in-depth interview with the Denver Broncos on Wednesday. He met for 4 hours with them in the first interview last week in Los Angeles. On Thursday, he's going to meet with the Arizona Cardinals. He has also already completed his interview with the Houston Texans. So there's going to be an offer coming, maybe 4 offers total, and then he'll have to decide. I think he wants to decide really quickly because he wants to put his guys together, get them all signed, hit the floor running as we get to the offseason. The compensation thing, there's all different angles and versions and stories. Initially, New Orleans wanted 2 number 1 draft picks as compensation for Sean Payton. At this point, I've been told that the Denver price would be a number 1. Denver has a number 1 this year from San Francisco through Miami, a late pick. It'd be a number 1, and then it'd be 2 number 3 draft picks. So it'd be a 1, 3, and 3 for Payton. Evidently, New Orleans would accept that if Payton wants to go to Denver. I'm not sure if Carolina is willing to offer 2 number 1s. I'm not sure where Arizona is as it relates to its potential offer. Houston, I guess, is in the running, but I don't think he'd want to go to Houston because the GM, Nick Caserio, is still there, and you're going to Houston. They have no quarterback at all, although they got 2 number 1 draft picks this year. So that bears watching, but the Sean Payton story is the big story because I think once that domino falls, then other things are going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's curious to see how this one's all going to break out because that's a lot of picks. I mean, 1 number 1 and 2 3s or 2 number 1s. I mean, that's a lot. So we'll see how this goes. I'm kind of hoping he lands in Denver. I mean, that spot seems to make the most sense.
And Russell Wilson has already had a conversation with Sean Payton about come
right
and fix this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think Denver's that far away because, as we talked about prior, you got Russell Wilson, you got the heavy-duty running back who got hurt, Javonte Williams. You got your left tackle who will be back, Grant Bowles. You got this defense that was number 1 in the league for virtually the entire season. A lot of athletes there. So I don't think the cupboard is really bare there as it might be some other places. Okay, next name. What becomes of Mike McCarthy? Well, right after Mike McCarthy's press conference, Jerry Jones held his press conference, and that was obviously front and center of the question that the media asked. Jerry Jones says, we're disappointed. We've got to do some evaluation, but I still believe strongly in this guy, Mike McCarthy. He's 30-20 as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Not dominant, but 30-20 is pretty good in a very competitive league. But he's 1-2 in postseason. His career record is 155-97. He's had a really good career. The last couple of years in Green Bay were substandard, and he had a losing season the first year in Dallas, but they got this thing rolling along. And he's 11-10 in the playoffs, which is a pretty good record. So I don't think his job is in jeopardy. Now, I'll put an asterisk next to that because Sean Payton is still out there, and Sean Payton and Jerry Jones have quite a relationship. But based on what Jerry said yesterday, I believe in Mike McCarthy and 30-20 record and all that. So I don't think Sean Payton's going to Dallas. What do you think?
Well, it's kind of like what they say when you get the vote of confidence is usually the kiss of death, right? So is that what's going to happen here in a few days down the road? Is Payton going to suddenly be interviewing, back down in Jerry world?
Now, the other storylines have to do with the search for coordinators. And we start with the Chargers. They fired 3 guys, including Joe Lombardi, the third-year veteran offensive coordinator. The Chargers have begun the interview process, and it's strange. They're going after guys who are quarterback coaches, not guys that are calling plays or guys that have had or veteran coaches. They're going after young quarterback coaches. They met today with Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson's a former quarterback at Oklahoma State, has kind of moved up the chain as an assistant NFL coach. He's the quarterback coach of the LA Rams, bright light guy. So Brandon Staley and his staff interviewed Zach Robinson today. They've gotten permission to talk to a journeyman guy. I'm not quite sure why. Greg Olson. He was the offensive coordinator with the Raiders for a group of years there. He's quarterback coach right now for the LA Rams. But he's been through the ringer. He's not had what I'd call great success. He was a coordinator in Miami, Tennessee, etc. So he's kind of a journeyman guy. So I don't know why they're interviewing him. They just got permission to talk to a tight end coach, which is kind of strange. Luke Steckel, tight end coach, Tennessee Titans. Excuse me. So they're looking, but they're kind of off on a tangent. You know, Brandon Staley does things differently, and this search is differently. I think, based on what I know about Zach Robinson, I think he's ready to be somebody's coordinator. So maybe he turns out to be the guy.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, that they're going for these kind of smaller names. I mean, is this an example of Spanos being cheap again, that doesn't want to go out and get that, primetime guy to run the offense? I don't know, but it is nice to see career opportunities for those bright lights.
Yeah, I'll be interested because as part of the Rooney Rule, you have to interview African Americans, too, and they have yet to go interview them. A Jim Caldwell, a former head coach who has had success as a coordinator, he might wind up being on that list, but I still think Zach Robinson's the guy. Let's talk about the other team in Los Angeles, the Rams. Now, they have 8 coaching openings on Sean McVay's staff because he just cleaned house. It's absolutely amazing. They have met with Mike LaFleur, the fired New York Jets offensive coordinator. I'm not quite sure what they see there because his track record wasn't really good. But before that, Mike LaFleur was with Matt LaFleur up in Green Bay. Mike LaFleur has been interviewed. They just asked for permission to talk to the Eagles quarterback coach, Brian Johnson's kind of a highly regarded guy. Remember as Kevin O'Connell got into coaching, the ex-Aztec, and he was a quarterback coach, and then he was a wide receiver coach, and then he became a coordinator, and now suddenly he's a head coach in the NFL. Brian Johnson's kind of gone along that track record, starting as a really young coach and doing a lot of different things on the offensive side of the ball, and now becomes a quarterback coach for Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. So those are the 2 names that have kind of surfaced front and center. Sean McVay's got a lot of openings on the staff. He's going to have to sales pitch a lot of guys to come, and I wonder if that'll be a entourage of really young guys like Brandon Staley has hired, or whether Sean McVay will go get some veteran help for his team and his staff.
Well, Jeff Hecklincy is available, I'm sure, right? So McVay is going to get some really bright lights. I mean, you can count on him. He's an innovator. He's a really smart guy. He's going to bring in guys that I think can transform the Rams and really be on the front end of an innovative, offensive and defensive scheme.
And the last storyline has to involve quarterbacks. And we'll be talking more about this in coming podcast, but they're on the clock. Derek Carr, Raiders. His contract kicks into $40 million per year right after the Super Bowl. There's a whole bunch of angles here to the Derek Carr story. One is that they're asking the agent to defer the new contract kicking in. It's supposed to kick in 5 days after the Super Bowl. They're asking him to defer that contract a little further out so that they can find the right team to trade him for. Now, Derek Carr's got a no-trade clause, so he can say, I'm not going there. I'll go there. So they're talking to a lot of people. I've been told Washington Commanders, Ron Rivera, very interested in Derek Carr. New York Jets, they got real quarterback quandary now because they got Mike White, who finished up really strong and then got hurt. And, of course, they have the former number 1 draft pick, Zach Wilson from BYU, who's really faltered badly. So I don't know what the Jets are going to do there. That's in the mix. And then New Orleans, and that's kind of strange because they had success with Jameis Winston. Then he got really badly hurt. Winston's had a major knee injury. They had a fractured back, etc. New Orleans is one of the three. So I'll be intrigued to see the price tag. It's not going to be a number one. I've been told it might be a 2 this year and a 3 another year out. But the Raiders are not going to get number one for Derek Carr because of all the mileage on him. It is interesting, though. And again, Raider management, they'll throw anything out there to try to say we're doing a great job, although the record doesn't show that. The Raiders have 10 draft picks right now. Yeah, 10 draft picks. So they're going to get some compensation picks because of free agents that they lost.
Mm-hmm.
They got 10. And if they get 2 picks in the Derek Carr deal, they're going to wind up with 12 choices in 7 rounds. So I'll be interested to see where Derek Carr winds up. I still think he can play, but his career record, that's the thing that just blows me away. It's like 69-80. That's not a Super Bowl quarterback. So what kind of quarterback are you getting in Derek Carr?
Yeah, I like the Commanders. I think that's a really good spot for him. And you remember those press conferences with Rivera? He says, we need a quarterback. And he was really out front, criticizing his own guys. But, why not Houston? I mean, didn't Carr's brother play for the Texans back in the day? They don't have a quarterback. They've got draft picks. Maybe there's a deal there.
Except they got a real high draft pick. They're going to draft 2, and I think the other pick is 11. So they're going to get one of those quarterbacks. Can you say C.J. Stroud with maybe the number 2 pick? Or maybe they flip-flop and they actually get the number 1 pick from Chicago, and it becomes Bryce Young. So they're going to have a shot at one of the elite quarterbacks at the top of the draft board. But this is a storyline. We're just telling you what's transpiring this week, and something we'll be talking further about as we march down the road. Okay.